Hi everyone, I thought I'd do a video of tips and tricks for the Addi. I have seen a lot of people struggling in the groups lately on how to fix certain things, and over the last year that I've had the king size Addi, I have two of them, and the small Addi, I have learned a few things on how to solve some of these problems. Okay, first issue. What happens when you're moving along and you get your stitch caught? Well, you have a few options. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, they all have the yarn over the little red teeth. It almost looks like teeth to me. And this one does not. It actually, what happened was, this is why I'm going to force this to happen so you can actually see what causes that. What it is this is your working yarn right here coming under the needle. You see it's going to grab it. And when it comes around this way, the stitch under it drops like down here by these teeth. And then this one pulls it under like that and it knits it. But what creates this problem right here is this stitch right here doesn't come down. It actually stays tucked under there, under the needle, and knits down with your working yarn. So it creates that. Now, there is a few ways you can fix this if you catch it soon enough. One way is by going backwards, which is typically a no-no, but if you know what you're doing, it's not. So what happens is, if you can see that, this is the one that's caught. We need to fix that, so we're going to go backwards. But by going backwards, this stitch right here, sorry, it's a little hard doing this backwards on the camera. This one right here is going to go down, which is going to make this an active stitch. So if we don't push that back on the needle when we come going back around, it's going to pop off, and then you're going to lose all your stitches. So what we need to do is I'm going to back it up. As you can see, as I back it up, this one is going to get brought up, and this one is actually going to drop down. See how it dropped down? So now, this one is an empty space, which means it's just getting ready to come up and get knitted. This one is actually a live stitch, and if I was to go forward from here, this would drop off. Now this one is the one that we had the problem with, so I'm going to zoom in on how to fix it. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to bring it up till that little belly on the needle pushes them down. Then typically I use my needle, and you're going to grab that top stitch. This is your working yarn. You can even see, you can take it out of the carriage, bring it out, see it's the working yarn. And you're just going to make sure that gets knitted. But remember I said before we go forward we have... Alright, so sorry about that, I had to cut out because my 1.5-year-old was beating on a can like it was a drum. Alright, so before we go backwards, we actually have to make sure we secure the stitch that we made active. So here's what we're going to do. Number 6, this one, is the one we just fixed and corrected. Any stitch before the empty one is going to need to be kept on. All these stitches back here, they're fine. They're just like a normal, how you would do it. But this one, as I turn this to knit this, I'm going to need to hold this stitch on. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can actually see what I'm doing with this stitch. Alright, so I'm just going to use my nail as the needle pushes up and just see how I kind of pushed it down and made sure it does not come up. If I did not do that, it would drop. So now I can just continue to knit as normal. Another way to fix it is if you don't catch it in time, you can actually adjust it when it comes back around. And you'll notice it because it'll look the same like it's missing. So I'm going to show you how to fix it that way. Okay, so as we come around, this is another way to fix the stitch if you don't notice it in time. So as you see when I come around, there's the empty stitch. See how they all have theirs over them red teeth? Well, this one doesn't. And if you don't catch it before you knit it, you can still fix it afterwards. So I'm going to zoom in real close. Alright, so you go forward like as you were knitting, like regular. Okay, it's a little hard to see because the carriage is in the way. Let's see if I can do it and tip it. You'll notice when it comes up that you actually got 2 stitches on there. Let's see if I can get a better view of this. You see there's one, which is your working yarn that didn't get knitted, and then the stitch that got caught that didn't do what it was supposed to do. So what you're going to do is when you bring it up like that, you're going to push down that bottom yarn, and then the loose working yarn that didn't get knitted, you're actually going to go backwards and knit it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see that this doesn't affect the other needles. So if I go backwards, it's actually knitting it, and then I can go forward and it's going to be like nothing ever happened. See that? So you can fix your stitches by going backwards and forwards. You just have to have the right technique. Okay, I don't know if you can notice the difference or not. I thought I'd use this color yarn because I thought it'd be easier to show up, but I don't know if it's showing up very well on the camera. But as you can see, when you're going around, you may notice the difference in appearance, because these all look the same. But this is kind of like a gathered up grouping here, and it's one of the stitches that caught and didn't knit properly. So this can be fixed. So you don't have to restart your project every time you get a mistake. You can actually fix it and not have to start over and lose all the time and be so frustrated. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. Okay, this is the same technique as fixing the stitch that caught. This is just further down in your work. I wanted to show you again just so you can tell. I don't know if you can really see it or not, but here is the actual messed up stitch. As you can see, I can pull it and it's pretty loose because it never got knitted down. So what I'm going to do is, you can do this before the carriage or after the carriage, doesn't matter, but I'm before it. So I'm going to I just follow it up. As I can see, it goes up to this one. So I'm going to take it, bring it up, pop it off. You do that by dropping it just like that. Then I'm going to unravel it. Only up until that spot. As you can see, when I get close to it, you'll actually see like how it got knitted wrong. Okay, so there's my loop I need to go through. Remember, you don't go above, so I can't I could, if I was looking for that kind of look, go above like this, but it's going to make it look funny and not look blended in seamlessly. So because I have so many stitches here, I can't start all the way at the top and do it without getting confused. So I'm going to start halfway. I'm just going to grab halfway. And you go under all the stitches and you put your crochet hook through the loop. So now it's like a ladder. I have 5 on here, and then this is my loop. Oops, sorry. Let me move the camera. Okay. So I have 5 on here, and then my loop. So you just do this, you take the ladder, and you lift up your loop and pull through. So now this is my loop, and I'm down to 4. So I put it over, and I'm going to lift up my loop and just pull that through. Okay, let me see if I can turn it a little bit just so you can see better. And you just do this all the way up, and it fixes it. Now I'm going to pick up the rest of them. Now make sure you straighten them, because sometimes when you pick up really close to your needle, it will get all messed up. So you want to make sure you straighten it. Okay, so here's my active loop. And once you get the hang of this, it'll actually go very fast. And you'll be like fixing your mistakes like crazy. And no more stress. No more worries about if you made a mistake. Alright. Now we got it all the way up. You can see how we fixed it. It's all tight. So now we just bring up our needle and put it over it. Just push it down. And now it's ready to be knitted, just like, see? Now you can tell this is the one that we fixed, because it does look a little wider spaced right now. Like I can feel the difference in them right now. But what you do is you just, when you take it off, you'll stretch it and it'll end up working itself to look normal. So you just gotta play with it a little bit, just, you know, get it back into place. And it'll look just like all the rest. It's pretty easy. Okay, some of you might have a problem where your yarn actually doesn't catch, your working yarn doesn't catch at all, and it ends up giving you like maybe 2-3 stitches where this is like this. So what happens if I was to keep knitting like that without fixing this, these stitches, all 3 are going to pop off, and then it's going to continue knitting, and then all this is going to start to unravel. So how to fix this is, before we get to our carriage, which is right there, we're going to watch it come around. Now, what we have to do is we have to knit these for the machine. So what we do is, if we push this white needle up, when this one comes around, it's going to pop the stitch off and we're going to lose it, and we'll have to fix it. So what we're going to do is, before we get to there, we're going to take this and we're going to make sure it goes around these red teeth, okay? Then, when this white tooth starts to come out, we're going to make sure we push this down on it. See how I kept them on? I didn't let them pop off. Now, we're just going to go backwards and make sure the working yarn is under the needle, and that one is down. bring it backwards and go forward, and it knitted. Now we can continue on as normal, except we have 2 more to fix. So I'm going to pull this one over here. It starts to get a little tough when you get closer to the end of it. So I just make sure I have both of them. And I don't want, when this white needle pops up, I don't want any of it to get kicked off. So as you can see, none of it got kicked off. As I bring it up, I only want the working yarn to go under that needle. It's a little hard to do this around a tripod. I typically just use the needle, this kind of needle, to fix these kind of problems. A crochet hook is usually too big. A latch hook would probably work too. Alright, there we go. Go backwards, then go forward, and it knits it. Now this is the last one. We don't want it to get kicked off. We gotta make sure we get that working yarn tucked back where it is. It's supposed to be. Alright, don't come off. So we want nothing to get kicked off when the white needle goes up. Alright, now we got to get the working yarn under the needle. I'll turn it so you can see. Go backwards. It knitted it. Now I can go forward and continue. Just like that. Okay, cautionary tale. I just want to tell you guys about. I have used a wide range of thicknesses in my machines. This is Pipsqueak. As you can see, it made a really cute scarf. I've used the Bernat Roving, which is very thick. I've used the Patton's Lace, and my favorite that runs the best is I Love This Yarn. It actually works really well, and that's what I do most of my knitting with. However, on occasion, I do use the lace. The lace runs pretty smooth, but in the beginning, you really have to watch it and make sure you catch all the mistakes, because it will drop because it's very light. And you got to really keep your eye on the needles when you're going around. The roving, if you only use it once or twice on your machine, or 3 or 4 times, it'll work pretty good. It does hang up a couple times. You really have to babysit it. But a cautionary thing is if you use it a lot, and I run my machines a lot. I've had my first machine for a year, and I've run about 500,000 rows on it, because that's the main part of my business is using these machines. So I have used the Bernat Roving quite often in things I've made, and it has taken a toll on my machine. Now it squeaks really bad, and it fights really hard to run it. I sometimes have to push my red needles around to help the machine do it, because the crank doesn't grab the gears very well when I run the roving. Now it slips. When I first ran it on my new machine, it ran beautifully, but after a while it did take a toll on it, which I'm okay with because it's just a business expense for me, and I will buy a new machine like I did. So that's how I ended up with 2 Addies. Just one to be rough on and one to baby. But for those of you who only have one machine and want to keep good care of it and not have to replace it as often as I'm willing to do, then try not to run very thick stuff. And if you do, just once in a great while. Don't do it often, because it will wear your machine down. I have taken my machine apart completely. I've cleaned it. I've used a silicone base. I think it's silicone. I don't know. It's safe for plastics anyway. A lubrication, but it just isn't the same as when it comes from brand new. I just love the Addies though. They're good for everything. I I think I've covered everything as far as like tips and tricks that happen on the Addi. If I think of any more, I'll probably make another video or add it. It's easier to just make a video and show you than it is to try and tell you in a description box or comment box how to do it. I'm not very good at using the language properly. I just say what I think it is. So if I didn't say anything correct, that's okay. I don't care. The point is I showed you what to do. Alright, so that is all I got for you. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I helped. If you have any questions, just send me a message or comment on the video, and I will do my best to answer it.